I told myself time and time again that I had everything that I could have ever wanted. To want more, to even ponder the idea for a moment, would be taking all the love in my life for granted. I knew that. I did. And yet, when I laid my head down and my eyes slowly began to adjust to the darkness that surrounded me, my mind would spin and begin to journey in a way that I couldn't control. Questions continued to plague me about who I was. Where did I come from? I wondered if there was some answer out there that would make me feel complete. To continue forward would be to open a door that once opened could never again be closed. The more I questioned, the more imminent the journey began to feel. I began to wonder if those I loved would support me. Would they still love me when I returned? Or would somehow, in finding myself, I would lose the only people that ever mattered to me? There was only one way to find out: to set off and obtain the truth. I should have known my family and friends would support me in my quest. Their love has always been a driving force. So why did I think this would be any different? My aunt told me if I wished to learn more about my past, my staff would lead me to a celestial river. She told me that it was there, underneath the star-filled water, where my answers awaited. So, with Moonpuff by my side and my family and friends watching on, I took my staff with both hands, closed my eyes, and envisioned the celestial river in which my aunt told me to seek. And then, with a single moment, everything changed. When Jelly opened her eyes, those who she loved no longer stood in front of her. Instead, a river was carved out in front of her. The star-littered water moved slowly, the stars twinkling brightly beneath the black waters. The landscape wasn't the only thing that changed. Moonpuff, once small, now stood at Jelly's side in his largest and most feral form. Jelly had trouble believing that her once deceptively cute and harmless companion was able to grow to such a size, armed with sharp teeth and even sharper claws. Jelly peered out behind Moonpuff's body and met eyes with two giant, golden-plated knights. The two were double the size of a normal man and were slowly emerging from the depths of the black, cool water. The two knights both carried a large saber in hand, weapons that were surely not just for show. Jelly sucked in a shaky breath as she held tight to her staff in one hand and placed her other hand on Moonpuff's flank. "You ready, hun?" The battle went by in a flash. Moonpuff protected Jelly in her weakest moments, and she did the same for her beloved companion. The knights were undoubtedly strong, but it was obvious that they weren't set on killing Jelly. No, instead it was as if they were testing her, like they were trying to bring her to her knees. It felt as if her answers were just beyond this battle, lurking in the depths of the water. Finally, the knights ceased their assault. Jelly stood covered in sweat, a bloody hand pressed into her side where a knight's saber sliced her. The knights gave a curt bow before retreating into the water, vanishing so quickly that if not for the wound at Jelly's side, she would wonder if the fight even happened at all. "I'm okay, I promise." Moonpuff pushed his nose into Jelly's hand. He gave a low whimper as he continued to nose her hand in deep concern. Jelly walked to the edge of the river and blinked. Will I really gain the answers to what I seek? She looked at her bloodied hand and nodded to herself before entering the star-flooded water. In the water, her breath hitched from the unnatural cold. Jelly slowly dipped her staff beneath the surface of the water. Immediately the water began to spin before her, transforming into a beautiful goddess. Her ethereal beauty was so overwhelming. She had no idea who this woman was, and yet she had felt like she had known her all her life.
"Young one, your journey has not been without its troubles,"
the goddess began, nodding her head toward the wound at Jelly's side.
"But I must ask, do you truly want to start this journey? Once the decision is made, It will change you forever.
Jelly held tight to her staff, looking down at the gift before turning back to Moonpuff, who was waiting by the river shore. She couldn't help but think of all the people in her life who had stood by her and supported her. I believe in the love in my life, the forged family, the found friends. I may struggle with belief in myself at times, but I believe in them. The goddess smiled and gave a soft nod. She reached forward and cupped Jelly's face with one hand. Despite the cold of the water, the goddess's hand was warm. Soon after, a barrage of images appeared in Jelly's mind. She watched as image after image flashed before her. She could feel the tears begin to stream down her cheeks as she watched all the faces of the people who supported her. Suddenly, as the visions fell away, Jelly felt the cold water slither around her body. For a moment she feared she would drown, but instead, once fully covered, her body was engulfed in a bright white light before the water fell away in a dramatic splash. Jelly's clothes had drastically changed. She was now adorned in beautiful pure white silks, and the wound at her side had healed. Threads of gold draped delicately over the girl's body, and an intricate crown of stars was placed on her head. What just...
By trusting in your bonds, you have unlocked a rare, incredibly powerful ability, Jelly. In your darkest times, you may call on your bonds. Don't take this power lightly, as it could be your only chance of survival on this journey. With this new insight and your newly forged powers, are you ready to finally find the answers to where you came from?
Yes.
Well, your journey starts now.